Every few months, a new headline tells agents that they are about to be replaced. Some agents panic, some dismiss it entirely, but both reactions are wrong, and both will cost you. Here's what's actually happening with AI in real estate, what it can and can't do, and how to use it to pull so far ahead that your competition that being replaced becomes a completely irrelevant conversation.
That was a long hook.
It was.
Welcome to Real Estate Coaching Radio, starring award-winning real estate coaches and #1 international best-selling authors Tim and Julie Harris. This is the #1 daily radio show for realtors looking for a no BS authentic real-time coaching experience. What's really working in today's market, how to generate more leads, make more money, and have more time for what you love in your life. And now your hosts, Tim and Julie Harris.
So today we're focusing on, will AI replace real estate agents? And here's our honest answer. First of all, I want to let all of you guys know that there is going to be something very special that's going to be arriving in the newsletter probably tomorrow or the following day. And the newsletter, of course, is harrisrealestatedaily.com. Julie and I wrote a 50-page, I know it sounds like a lot, but it's not, and you're going to love it, white paper called the Real Estate Singularity. If you listen to our sister podcast called Powerhouse Talk, you'll know we've been referring to the Real Estate Singularity. And we're going to get into the weeds. We do get into the weeds in the white paper. It's like a mini book describing with great detail exactly what we know is happening now and what we are at this point 100% confident is going to happen next. If you've been listening to us for a while, which virtually all of you have, you know, Julie and I have been working on a series called Make Housing Great Again. Well, we've incorporated a lot of the points from Make Housing Great Again into this new article or this new white paper. You're going to want this information for yourself, but also maybe to share it with some of there's a section in there that's for consumers too. So there you go. Look for that in the newsletter. Now, if you're not a subscriber to the newsletter, you have to subscribe to get the free white paper, right? harrisrealestatedaily.com. It takes you like 2 seconds to do. And of course, it doesn't cost you anything. So Julie, this AI topic is like nothing that we've ever seen. You and I talk about this constantly, right?
Yep.
We're bored. I'm actually a little bored of talking about it at this point because we've been talking about it so much lately.
Too bad, because it's not going away.
I know. Well, I'm looking forward to it getting to the point. You remember when the internet came around? Yes, we're that old.
Yes.
And everyone was talking about the internet, and now nobody even talks about the internet. It just has become part of. It's assumed becomes part of your your work cycle. And now we're getting to the point where AI is like, you're not wondering where you're going to go. When you have a task in your mind or something you want to research, you're not thinking, how am I going to find the answer? If you find yourself thinking, I'm going to Google it, that's old thinking. And now you're just going to use AI, whatever your AI of choice is.
Well, but let's hover there just for a second, because I think that that's a really good clue to give to yourself, because not every single one of our listeners is up to speed on Claude and ChatGPT and all of the things, right? So if you are saying to yourself still, I'm going to go Google that, that's something to stop.
That was you like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, that's 3 months ago once their word back.
Well, but so don't worry about which start with ChatGPT. It's going to be the easiest one for all of you guys to use, but they're all easy. But even then, there's so many people trying to sell you guys in on the idea that you have to master AI. Honestly, don't waste your time, because it's going to change so fast. The ultimate output or interface is going to be voice, or it's going to be video to video. So you're going to pull up on your phone. You're going to have a long form conversation. I've done that before. I don't know if you guys have done it. Go on walks or, go on the treadmill, whatever, long drives, and start talking to AI. And you can start out by telling Claude or ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever, Grok. You can start out by saying, look, maybe you're trying to solve a personal life issue or a personal, something that's going on that's not necessarily business focused.
Whatever you're noodling on right now.
Exactly. And the things that you'd love no longer to have floating around your head and you just can't seem to work through it. Well, it could be something very technical. It could be something financial. Just go and say, I want you to act like you're the world's leading psychologist. And maybe you're having a problem with your kid. That never happens, right, Julie?
Never.
You're having some problem with your kid, and you're going to say, you're the world's leading child psychologist. And you specialize in 12-year-old girls who are, and just kind of give a description of whatever the challenges you have with your kid. And then help me work through this particular problem. And then it's going to work. It's going to talk to you just like a psychologist. And it is unfreaking believable when you actually use it correctly. But you can do this through voice prompts. You don't have to come up with fancy prompts. You don't have to think you're somehow an AI engineer. You're not going to. And there's no sense in even trying to master it because it's becoming noticeably easier. It just ridiculously easier to use every week by week. So I'll give you guys an example. If you follow us on Instagram, Tim and Julie Harris, we put up a bunch of AI videos and pictures that came out that I put up in the last 7 or 10 days.
About a
They were
week
all,
ago. Yep.
yeah, they were all from an update from OpenAI, and then there were some from I think it was
You did some on Grok too.
yeah Grok or I don't remember. Doesn't matter. They all basically came out with this new version. All of them, but Claude, by the way, they all came out with this new amazing image and video creators. And all you got to do is load a single picture in. And well, I'll give you guys an example and go to our Insta and you can see it. But I took 3 pictures of my mom, front, side, top. And that was about it. And then I wanted it to make a picture of my mom riding a bull. And it did. And it's amazing. I wanted to make a picture. She's 86. She loved these videos, by the way. She wants to be an Instagram influencer, the grandma influencer. And so I made another one of her running with the bulls in Palermo. Another one where Julie made one where she was walking on the moon. We made one
We
where
were just having fun with it to see what it could do.
yeah, and she was loving it. She's just, it was fun to watch, but the realism is insane. And these are videos. So we digress. Get to know AI, but don't really worry that you're somehow falling behind because you're not. And I know there's a lot of pressure out there right now, especially in real estate, because there's so many people trying to sell you guys something about AI. AI is going to come to you. You don't need to worry about it.
But to your point, Tim, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I want our listeners to know that it has gotten significantly easier. And just as because you and I are, in deep in that world studying it so that we can help them faster. We've gone from using it like Google to, oh my gosh, I've got to learn how to prompt to, oh, I can just talk to it like it's an actual assistant.
Yep.
And that's taken what, I don't know, 90 days or something like that.
90 days.
So just like stopping yourself when you say, I got to go Google that, some of you are now stuck in, I've got to learn prompts, or I have to learn Gemini because I don't know anything about Gemini. It's kind of all advancing very quickly, and I think a little bit specialty from platform to platform. But remember when Sora came out and everybody's like, oh my gosh, check out these videos. And then you do a video and there'd be all kinds of weird stuff happening in Sora. And now look what you were able to do with your experiment with doing your mom's short videos. And that took what, a minute?
I'm just noticing how the clouds in this room are changing. There must be a thunderstorm rolling in.
Yeah.
So Julie, you and I on the white paper that we wrote called The Real Estate Singularity, there was a section in the intro where we were talking about how, and you'll have to remember this and help me remember it, Ray Kurzweil, right? Because you and I it took us 3 times to go through it to understand it and to write it clearly. But he said the way that people think is linearly. Where in other words, one step leads to another. So if you take 30 steps and each of your steps is approximately a foot, right? Every time you step, you are stepping 12 inches apart. That means after you walk, step 30 times in a line, you're going to be 30 feet from where you started. But the way he was explaining it is it's AI is exponential. So what happens is every step, the first step you take isn't 12 inches, it's 36 inches. And then the one after that is 72 inches. And then it's 144 inches.
So you're going further, faster with actually less effort.
Right. I want you to visualize that. That's really incredible. Because here's the reason I think that's so incredible is because everything in our lives has been, with very, very few exceptions. I mean, S&P 500 and compounding interest and all those things, that's exponential growth. But for the most part, everything's linear growth. You can, and that's how humans have been hardwired to think. One thing leads to another, leads to another. And the other aspect of this, which I find really fascinating, and I'm observing Julie and I's behavior where we go with our thinking, and you guys will relate to this, I think. Everybody's looking for analogies, or everybody's looking for, oh, this is the way it happened last time. In other words, we're all looking over our shoulders and we're saying, this
time is just like last time. Yeah.
Right. That's what people are thinking. This time is just like last time, wherever the last time was. And so you see these people who haven't thought through it, or who are going to reference the Industrial Revolution, or they're going to reference even go back to the printing press. So they're going to, the technological revolution, the internet, whatever. There's been arguably, there's been like 20 big leaps forward in recorded history of man. But let's just say, for the sake of the last 300 years, there's been maybe, I don't know, 10, something like that, maybe only 6. But right now, what we're seeing, and so we're saying, okay, I remember, Julie, I remember when the internet came around. It was, we were selling real estate. It was the late 90s. You and I had one of the first URLs. We had the first URL of all the agents in our marketplace in Columbus, Ohio. It was timandjulieharris.com, which we still own. That URL is considered an artifact at this point. It's so old. Yeah, but so I remember thinking that, okay, well, I'm reading the Yahoo News or wherever the hell it was, AOL, and it's now talking about this crazy store named Amazon. Well, I guess people can buy books on Amazon, and then
Do you remember when people were like, "Why would you want to buy a book online?"
yeah, exactly. But now the point of it is that you could pretty much plot out in your mind what was going to happen next because things took time. There was no AI to do things almost automatically. It wasn't an intelligence. I'm sorry, the internet was a tool, it wasn't intelligence. So that's the big difference. So right now, when you think about what AI really is, and again, you guys got, subscribe to the newsletter so I can send you that white paper. But Jules and I wrestled with it, and we were wrestling with how to understand how it'll affect our clients' lives, our lives. But then the real challenge was, how do you explain what you think you know? And so if we're to explain how AI is going to, well, it already is. First of all, let's take a sidestep. And Jules, you're going to have to jump in here and talk about what we talked about on the way back from the gym this morning. As far as what we're experiencing is the singularity, or AGI. Let's just start there. So Ray Kurzweil was famous for using the term the singularity, that I think was from a book from the 1980s, by the way, but in any event, where in the singularity, the humans and technology via AI were essentially so integrated that there was an indistinguishable, right? And the other test of AGI that I've heard people say is if AGI can see, you can ask AGI to do a complex problem. You could ask it, for example, just whatever the challenge is. And if it can produce the product and then go back and catch its own mistakes and go back and then fix its own mistakes and then produce the product again. In other words, the AI is managing itself where you don't have to manage the AI.
Self-learning is the point. You didn't have to look at it and say, well,
that's
pretty
wrong.
Good, but fix A, B, and C.
Right. It does it itself.
On its own.
Right. And so when you guys use, for example, Claude, and you ask it to write, I don't know, whatever you're going to ask it to write. Let's just use a writing as an example. Well, I'll give the example of my mom with these little videos I made for her. They're just like little 10-second videos. But I just put in, again, I'm not going to try to be a prompt engineer. Remember when clowns were selling that like 90 days ago, how to be a prompt engineer? But I'm not going to bother. So I just asked it to make a short video of my mom riding a bull. I thought that'd be fun, right? She'd love it. So I did just that. But the video output that it created was phenomenal. It was
like movie quality.
It was. Yeah. It's cinematic.
And let's be clear, you didn't feed it like a movie of Running with the Bulls. All you did was give it your mom's picture.
Yeah, that's all you have to do. You have to load like a one picture, and
give it the idea.
Jules and I have been preparing all of you for how long now? Forever, in anticipation that the whole influencer, the real estate influencer movement. It was I think what one would call a trend, is effectively not over, but the idea that you can have an advantage because you have produced an enormous amount of social media videos and all the rest of it's obsolete, because AI is going to be able to do all of it for everyone on autopilot 24/7, 365 days a year. And it's going to be better content than a human will be able to create on their own. And I know some of you are offended by what I just said. And I'm honestly a little offended by what I just said, because it's taking the human out of the, out of the workflow. But what does that free us up to do, Julie?
Everything else that's human. It's all of those things that you've got, like this huge list of to-dos, right? You've got your bullet points. I got to figure out how to do this, this, and this. Probably 80% of that can be done, especially as you get to know how to use an agent. You've been using Claude now to do specific tasks, okay? So all of the things that are so time consuming, and many of them, as you and I were talking about on our ride back from working out this morning, then you were talking about how your to-do list is shrinking faster than it's ever shrunk before, because a lot of the stuff that we struggle with is like, we have to rely on somebody to call us back. We have to we have to set aside 2 hours to research it. We have to do a deep dive to figure this out and figure that out. And then that leads to the next thing. That's all coming to an end with most of the heavy lifting, right? Everything that's not face to face, voice to voice, human to human contact, you can have going on in the background. You just have to realize it and learn a little bit how to use it.
Jules, let's use the book as an example. So the Real Estate
Sure.
Singularity. So it's a white paper. It's a
It's somewhere between the size of a white paper and a shortish book.
right. We might, if our publisher wants to publish it, make it into a real book. But for now, we just are doing it for free for all of you guys to use. It's really going to do, when you read it, you're gonna feel a massive sense of relief, control, and direction. That was what we were trying to accomplish with this.
Yeah.
So I'll walk you guys through the overview of how we went about doing it. Julie and I have been yammering about that particular topic, as a lot of you know, for almost 2 years. And then about 18 months ago, we started talking about make housing great again, started yammering about that on the podcast and writing a lot of articles. So we had all of these, I would say, reasoned thought throughs that were in different places. And then we said, as we promised all of you guys, we were going to update the Make Housing Great Again series, but we wanted to do it better. And so that's what this white paper really truly is. We took these ideas that we had worked on. Not all of them were fully thought through, and some of them had become somewhat obsolete because AI changed things so fast. So what we did is we wrote essentially just in a word blob and put in links. It wasn't even beautiful. It wasn't even something I would have even wanted a human to read. I would have been embarrassed about it. It was a free form thing. And then Julie and I talked about it, and I added in what she said. And then I just loaded it up to Claude. And then Claude started working on the different ideas, went to the different links, saw the things that we'd written before, listened to the past podcasts we'd done before, watched the videos, it got the transcripts from the videos, put all this together. And then it said, this is what I'm thinking about doing. These are the sections. What do you think? And I looked at it, and I'm like, holy crap, this thing crawled in my head and pulled out. It was insane. I only had to have.
And you told me that you saw how it was piecing things together, and as it did its research, it was actually showing you how it was thinking.
I had to change a couple of things. Some of it had to do with it didn't have enough information in there about the singularity and Ray Kurzweil, some nerdy things some of you guys will be interested in. But I wanted to have it be so that when you went in there, you didn't find yourself reading something and not understand what the concept was. We wanted to fully explain the concept so that it made sense and relate to real estate. Those little tiny bridges are what the AI didn't completely have. So I had to help it understand how this relates to this, but it was just minor. And then, like Julie said, I hit return, and then it spit out a draft. And then the draft was near perfect, just a couple little tweaks. But along the way, as it was making the paper, I saw, like Julie said, what it did on its own is Claude had a main agent. So Julie and I have written books before. We have a book that's Harris Rules. It's one of the best-selling real estate books of all time. It's for sale everywhere. Oh, how about this? I happen to have a copy. You can get that on Amazon or at Barnes & Noble or anywhere your favorite bookseller is. So when we wrote that, Julie did most of the work. That book took us how many years? 2?
About 2.5 with editing, yeah.
And it was a nightmare. And how many editors did you have?
Oh my gosh. An editor for everything. A content editor, a format editor. I even had an index editor, and I didn't know I was supposed to do an index, and then they said I did. So it was never ending.
And you had people constantly fact checking and making sure that this led to that. And it was just, it was so funny when she would get an email from the editors. It was like getting called to the principal's office.
Oh, I hated those. And we've written books before that too. It's not like it's the first time we've ever made the effort,
Yeah.
Like I was pretty confident. At least it's funny because I knew, and you and I knew the content, right? But there's so much more to that in the editing and making it look good and checking this and that. It was just crazy.
Well,
and now a 2.5-year experience would take maybe 2.5 days.
Well, doing a self-published book is completely different because there's no one really looking over your shoulder. That wasn't self-published. That was through an actual publisher. So self-published is easy. Real publishing
Still,
hard.
I bet it wouldn't take 2.5 years.
Right. Well, that's my point. And so you and I were able to take these ideas that we'd been working on, and we took podcast notes. We didn't even take the notes. We just gave it the links. And it turned out a 50-page book that if we were to add graphs and pictures and more stories and examples, we could easily make it into 150 pages. But it did it in less than 15 minutes. It took some time, and I could see what it would do there was Claude had a main agent, and you can look at this while it's doing it. You can see how it's working. There was an agent that was basically assigned to write the paper. And then what it would do is it then created other agents to do research projects or to do work within each of the chapters. So you could see, and then they started talking to each other. You could actually see in this Anthropic's Claude, I don't even know what it costs. It's like nothing. And so you could see these conversations going on where one AI was talking to another, talking to another. These are AI agents. These are the agentic agents that people talk about. So they're all communicating, try to put this book together. And then it was really fascinating to watch where one would disagree with the other. Like
let me pause you for a second. You didn't say to Claude, go create a research assistant agent. It just did it.
It just did it.
Like
right.
Well, the point I'm making is you didn't have to see that process for the process to happen.
Right.
It's self-created.
It did. It self-created it. And so what it did is it assigned a leader, and then the leader then found staff members or team members to help create the overall white paper. And it did what we would have probably taken I don't even know how long it would have taken us to do that if we were just to have all done it ourselves. Months, probably. Months. Writing stuff, doing it well is ridiculously hard. It's the reason nobody does it. Yeah. So, we're doing what we don't want to do, and we don't want to do it at the highest level. But guess what? We can do a lot more of it now because of AI.
And at a higher level too.
Exactly. 100%. So we watched it work, and we watched it kind of piece together. We watched it then be self-critical. This is going back to AGI, right? So stay with me here. We watched it being self-critical of what it did or what one of the other agentic agents did. So it would go there and say, this is very similar to this, or we need to make this better. And then this formatting is not good, and this doesn't matter. You could watch the whole thing going on in these conversations, and I just sat back and I just thought to myself, my golly, if this is what the future is, and we're still in AI version 1.0, it's going to be like nothing we can imagine. That goes back to the Ray Kurzweil thing, that each step isn't a foot, each step is 3 feet, then it's 6 feet, then it's 12 feet, then it's 24 feet. That's the effect that AI is having on workflow. And so where does all this lead? We were able to produce that paper for you guys from a whole bunch of previous work that we used AI to help us write, for sure. And then it was able to create what I think you guys will agree will be something that it could become one of the most important thought pieces or white papers in the real estate industry this year. I would be surprised if it didn't. I sent it around to different people, and they all want to publish it. One of them wants to have the exclusive publishing rights, which I'm probably not going to do. But in any event, it's free for you guys. So just go to Harris Real Estate Daily for that. Now, how does this relate to all of you? You can be an agent that's going to be on the outside, and you can be an agent that's going to think that AI is a fad, or AI is I can tell when it's AI. You hear a lot of people saying that. Oh, I don't watch AI videos. Yeah, you do. Something like 80% of all the videos on Instagram are AI. So you're watching AI videos. I can always tell when I'm listening to something it's AI. No, you can't. You can't, because it's indistinguishable now. Some of it's better than others, obviously, but for the most part, we're at a point now where it is AGI. And so Ray Kurzweil in his book was assuming that there would be almost like you hop over a speed bump, the calendar page would turn, and we would go from AGI to non-AGI. But it turns out AGI, we're in the midst of it, happens over a series of years. And so I was talking before about how analogies that we like to use. Julie and I are crazy with analogies on the podcast when trying to describe something. The walking thing was an example. Mm-hmm. Julie asked me the other day, and Zoe asked me, what were the questions you guys asked about AI, the data centers, right? You were asking me, remember you were saying, and I tried, and then I related it to baking. You remember the question was?
I think we were trying to figure out why it took so much energy, but I can't remember what I was asking about.
No, I think of the question, the essence of the question is that, what's the deal with all this hubbub about the data centers?
Yeah.
And where, because what you may have experienced if you're using AI is sometimes it throttles you, it forces you to take a break. Sometimes it goes slower. Or the other thing that you'll happen, this happens on OpenAI a lot on ChatGPT, is you can have a conversation, you can keep it going for 15 minutes, and it's going to forget what it said 15 minutes prior.
Mhm.
Anthropic doesn't do that. That's all because of energy. That's from data. That's a lack of its ability to. It's by design, because if you have this long conversation that goes on for hours and it has to be able to recall that conversation as if you were talking to a human, that
Takes a lot of energy.
takes a lot of energy, takes a lot of storage, and that's what the data centers are all about. And a lot of hype and dramatization about what's going on at the data centers. And this is the way I explained it to Zoe primarily and Julie, is that if you guys wanted to start your cupcake store, Julie and Zoe love to bake. Um, and it turns out that 10 other people or 20 other people or 30 other people all want to buy cupcakes, or they all want to start their own cupcake store. Every mom and their daughter wants to start a cupcake store in the 6th grade. Okay, great. Now here's the problem. The grocery stores around here and the places you buy the the flours and the whatever the stuff goes into cupcakes. What goes into cupcakes? I don't even know.
Flour, sugar, eggs, milk.
Okay. So because there's such demand, okay, there's all these cupcake places would do really great if they could open up. They're all in demand. Tons of people love cupcakes. Everyone's willing to buy cupcakes.
Demand's not the problem.
The demand's not the problem, which is very, very weird if you think about it. Normally you have a demand problem and you have a total addressable market problem. In other words, there's only so many people that are going to want to buy cupcakes, but it turns out in this world, everybody wants a cupcake. They don't make you fat. Okay. These are not guilt-free cupcakes. Everyone's got the recipe. Everyone wants to make them. But the problem is there's limited supply of the baked goods, of the flour, of the sugar, of the eggs, of the things that go in to make the cupcakes. So because there's a constrained supply of the materials that it takes to make these guilt-free cupcakes, even though there's an enormous unsatiated demand, they can't meet all the demand for all the people that want to buy cupcakes, let alone all the stores that want to make cupcakes to sell to all the people who want to buy cupcakes. That's what the lack of energy is all about. So when you hear all these conversations that are going on from data center problems, that's really what it is. We're constrained on energy. We're not constrained on demand. So
when I went to the cupcake store to get, or the grocery store to get my ingredients, there would be a sign saying you're only allowed to have 3 bags of flour, or, whatever, because they're trying to regulate all that.
And there's another sign that says the flour for cupcakes is sold out for 3 years in advance. And that's exactly what's happening. So
but have you heard any sorry, this is off the cuff, but what's the speculation about that energy problem, the data center problem being solved?
It's going to go to space. So
that's the whole space data center thing.
That's this. Okay. It's what's it called? The Dyson sphere.
Gotcha.
Right. So the Dyson sphere is a bunch of essentially satellites that are going to be around the sun, and they're going to operate in such a way that they're going to, or is it around the moon? I forget which. But anyway, it's going to use solar energy. So it's going to solve the solar problem
with solar. So solar is basically the one,
because there's no diffusion in space. There's no clouds or atmosphere or anything else that's going to make the sun diffused before it hits the solar arrays. And so up in space, and then so all the data centers are going to be in. So when that starts happening, and Elon, of course, is leading the way for that with SpaceX and so on and so on and so on. All right. So why am I telling you all this? Because the steps are happening. We're not just walking one step after another. We're now, and by you're part of it too. Whether you want to be part of it or not, you are. I'm not going to use AI. I've had somebody say that to me before. Yeah, you are. It's all around you. You're already using it. You just don't know it. It's encompassing. Remember how when the internet came out, because probably those of you who say you're not going to use the AI are the same ones that didn't want to use the internet. You just don't like change. Normal, natural. Don't worry about it. I'm not being critical. Well, now what happens is you use the internet all the time. You don't even think about it. You order stuff from Amazon all the time. How can you not? Yeah. You're watching us, right?
You have to watch your thinking on that. I was listening to a podcast. We're going to hopefully get her on our podcast. She was an agent that's using, this type of thing. And she said that her prediction would be in the next 12 to 18 months, agents that have that stance, I don't use AI. I think it's just a fad. It's not for me, whatever the mindset is, will be the equivalent of saying, I don't have a cell phone. I think cell phones are just a fad. You're the only one that wasn't using the technology at the time. And so now the world's past you.
That she's doing the linear thinking thing. She's
right, but we're all trying to figure out. It's yes, but it's all our human nature to look for one step at a time. And what's this going to lead to? And this is like that. We're in the world of analogies, but I think that especially as more of us see what you described, writing the white paper with Claude, where you saw the steps and you actually witnessed the exponentiality of it.
Yeah,
You witnessed not just, okay, we're going to do step one, then we're going to do step two, and we're, 1 foot in front of the next, 12 inches at a time. You saw the exponential because you saw the agents go off and this one's going to learn this and tweak that, and this one's going to do that. You were visualizing all that. And I would speculate, I don't know, but I speculate that the more we all do that and get better at it, and just not that we're the one doing it, but we're watching it and we're watching how it thinks, that it's going to affect how we think too.
totally. Well, I mean, it's already changing the vernacular, how people speak.
I can feel myself thinking differently.
How do you mean?
I had a dream the other day that I woke up thinking AI is getting into my brain. I can feel it. It's weird.
We're all waited on bated breath.
It was just you know how when you're like really you're kind of in a dream state, but you're just kind of becoming barely consciously aware you're about to wake up when you're like breaking out of that REM, I think probably.
Mhm.
I heard in my dream it was almost like a sound of a pinball bouncing, like, okay, now you're out of that. And I thought, well, that's kind of strange. That's very,
Well, Julie, think
no.
about
And that my thought was, I had that thought because I've been deep in this AI world for a while.
there's still people out there that take pride in, well, first of all, there's a lot of people out there that assume anything that's written or any music, they're all like going to it's AI, and somehow in their minds that
They're trying to devaluate it or invalidate it rather.
right, just because it's AI or AI enhanced. And that's an enormous mistake. To pridefully say I'm AI free. Okay, I'll give you guys an example. When Julie and I were selling real estate with Remax, and this was back maybe our second year in the business. Okay. No, this is more than our second year, but the internet, MLS finally went online.
Oh, yes.
And before that, it was all books.
Such a controversy.
Well, so it is so funny to even say this out loud because we do sound like, okay, this is back when everything was in black and white. This is when we're talking to Zoe, we tell her everything was in black and white. And she goes,
back when people used paper.
She doesn't believe us anymore, but she used to. Black, everything. Yes, Zoe, like the beginning of Wizard of Oz, everything was in black and white. So yeah, when everything was black and white, they used to drop off these enormous freaking, I was going to say phone books, but you guys know what that is here. No, they're bigger than that. They're twice the size.
Maybe twice the size of this.
Yeah. They're monstrous, and they're black and white, and they're printed on crappy paper.
Paper thin black and white paper.
Yeah. And they drop them off the front desk, and everyone would go and grab their MLS book. And then you would, you sure as hell. Matter of fact, they used to tell us this, but I don't think it was true, that you were never supposed to give your MLS book out to a customer. That's right. What they told us, the people that at the Remax office. Oh, you keep this to yourself. You have to have a real estate license to have the MLS book. You remember that?
Yeah.
All right.
People would carry around like this.
Right. Exactly. And that was their power. They were the gatekeepers of the information. They were in control. And then obviously MLS went online, and a lot of those agents, they didn't adapt. They were still basically trying to be the gatekeepers of the information, even though the consumers wanted something different. You can't be like that agent. Otherwise it's not even a function of you becoming obsolete. There won't even be a decision made. Mike is no longer relevant. Mike is just choosing to make himself irrelevant out of ego, out of his own fear. So where does all this lead? And we write about this in the white paper, Real Estate Singularity, extensively. But the beautiful thing about what's going to happen is you're going to be, just like I was describing this book that Julie and I wrote, you're going to be able to have an army of PhD level staff, team members that are working for you 24/7, 365 days a year for basically free. And that's going to be extraordinary. So Julie's mentioned my list of things to do. I keep it on a yellow tablet of paper. Is smaller than it's ever been. And it's true because I can churn through things so much quicker. And I can it's not like a function before where I had, okay, we need to make this better and then brainstorm it out and then noodle it out and talk to Julie and talk to team members and all the rest of it. I can just go to whatever AI and then have it noodle it out for me. We work on it together. It creates the action plan. Okay. Again, another example, the Real Estate Singularity, the download is going to be living in our newsletter, but we're also going to put a page inside timandjulieharris.com, our main site. And then we're going to put links to that article everywhere on X, on all the places where we post. And we're just going to offer it for free. Here's our new book. Here's why you want to read it. Click here. No opt-in, no funny business whatsoever. I asked Anthropic to create the page, create the copy on the page, create all the everything that goes behind it, and it did it like that. There was no back and forth with a team member. There was no back and forth with worrying about sales copy or checking grammar, or all the rest of it. It just did it in like less than a minute. I copy pasted it. I sent it off to our Josh, and Josh got it done inside like 15 minutes. It said, the AI said this whole project, if you just follow the instructions that it knows I was giving to Josh, should take 20 minutes. He got it done in 15 minutes. Don't, done. That's how it works.
But
And
it's
so
not just the getting it done part of it, which is very significant. It's the quality of getting it done, which means now you can become exponential with your work and the things that you take out of your own mind and create with. I think that's what people that say, I think AI is trendy, or I'm not going to do AI, or that's AI, so it's somehow less valuable. They don't realize that it's unlocking human potential. It's not suppressing it.
Well, because it's freeing you up of doing anything that's behind a keyboard and a screen. That's what AI is going to do better than any human will. And I'm sorry if do better is not the words that you would have chosen, but that's just, I get it. It's a little offensive. It's scary. I totally understand, but that's the reality of it. Anything that's behind a screen that's on a keyboard, AI is going to be able to do it better. When you start experimenting with it and really using it to its capacity, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. There's going to be complete workflows. A workflow would be, for example, you took a new listing, and I know there's people that have already developed things like this, but they're still clunky. You took a new listing, the information wasn't even, it was done all, you've uploaded into the screen. AI is then able to see that you've done the work, and it implements everything, and it does everything for you. Normally, if you had been running a team, like when Julie and I were running a team, we had our listing coordinator, and we had a feedback person, we had a seller specialist, we had on the list side of our business, because we used to sell hundreds of homes per year, we were having to have 3 people just on the list side. On the buy side, we had 7 people. And then we had other people running around doing Mickey Mouse stuff. And we were doing hundreds of homes per year selling. Right now with AI, we probably could get that down to realistically 3 people, maybe 4. We could cut the team expense down by half. It's not just getting rid of payroll, but it's also the quality of the work that goes through the roof. It's the efficiency and how fast things can happen. So again, when your mooring line is that AI is fake, and I'm not ever going to listen to AI music or watch AI videos or read AI books or all the rest of it or watch AI movies. Well, you are now. You just don't know it because we are in the singularity. But those agents who do and who are going to be the ones that don't just take simple 12-inch steps one after the other, but they're the ones that are going to be leaping feet and just miles ahead of you. So if you delay, procrastinate, deny for a year, for 2 years, if this is the way things are, you're going to be too far behind to ever catch up. Even with your centers of influence and past clients, you're still going to be too far behind to ever catch up. Because remember, if you've got somebody in your center of influence and past client list, probably so do 200 other agents. And if they deployed AI in such a way that, it's been very effective at keeping better communication with that seller or that owner, or that past client, whatever, they're going to have the relationship more drilled down than you ever will, because you fell behind. What do you think, Jules?
Well, that's a great example, because that's perhaps the number one thing that any, even marginally experienced agent needs to improve. I think 100% of our listeners, whether you're a grizzled veteran or whether you're 2 or 3 years in the business, would say, I need to take better care of my database. We hear that all the time. It's like a graveyard of half contacts, right? And who has time to take care of that? You're out doing your deals, or at least you should be, right? But you can have an individual AI agent whose sole responsibility is to mine your database, purify the information with the phone numbers that are missing. They can go to public record. It can go to multiple public records, phone numbers, email addresses, social media assets, the whole 9. Update that and create, because remember, this AI agent's sole responsibility is to take after your database. It can create curated newsletters that are specifically updated to that person's home that would have taken you hours to do if you had even made yourself do it at all, because you're supposed to be doing that. Every week, every month, whatever, and do follow-ups and curate who's going to be the next one to move. You can have, that would have been an assistant's job that would have taken hours to do all that kind of research and put together not just say a market update, what their house is worth in today's market, but something that's beautiful that they want to
But
open, that they
it,
look forward to opening.
a newsletter, Jules, but what it'll really do is it's going to create a video of Julie
That's
Harris,
even better.
your
Yeah.
past agent, who's going to send you a personalized video on your
Yes.
birthday where she's going to have miraculously been following you on all your socials, going to hit a highlights reel of all the great things that happen on your in you that you
Yep.
posted on Facebook in the last 12 months. And it's going to go like, hey, this is Julie. I'm just thinking of this now, but this is absolutely a great
Right.
idea. Hey, this is Julie Harris. I just want to wish you a happy birthday. And I wanted you to celebrate the accomplishments of your last 12 months. And then she's going to show a little highlights reel, the things that you posted on your Insta or your Facebook or your whatever in the last 12 months, maybe 60-second video altogether. And then she's going to say, so the happiest of birthdays. I'm looking forward to sending you an update of your highlights reel in, a year from now. And
Yeah.
that's going to be the extent of it. And AI can do all of that automatically at a high level while you're out there actually working. So where does this leave the agent? The only area that you're ever going to be able to build a moat around. So in our book, hold on, is this the book here, Julie? I think it is. In our book, we talk about don't build a castle on land you don't own. In other words, don't build like, Zillow Flex agents or agents that are dependent on referrals of any variety, or even marketing and branding and all that, those types of things. Ultimately, you don't own the land that you're building your castle on because Zillow Flex could change. There could be some, it's just whatever. And that happens all the time. Those of you guys who've been doing a lot on Instagram or even YouTube, in the last 12 months, a lot of the algorithms have been changed. And so even huge content creators like Mr. Beast, who Zoe loves, he's lost half of his audience because YouTube, without letting anybody know, changed about how they go about deciding whose videos get watched and whose don't. That's called building your castle on land you do not own. Right. And so what AI is going to allow you to do, it's going to allow you to delegate all the time consuming, laborious, highly technical aspects of your business. So you can go out there and get to know more people. You can form more human to human relationships. You can talk to more people. You can be yourself doing what you want to do with people who also like doing the same things as you at, the highest level. That's the future, believe it or not, of real estate marketing. It's not, when you if you go to a conference or a webinar or a Zoom meeting and someone's talking to you about fancy social media or whatever, they must be living under a rock because everyone's going to have social media. I watched I caught a video of Ryan Serhant the other day. I'll say a name, right? And he is talking about, and we've had him on our podcast. We like him. He's a great guy. So he was talking about the essence of his video was, don't you want to be famous? So he was trying to appeal to agents who are seeking fame, which is a good majority of the agents. That's their driver. They want recognition. Well, guess what? AI can make you, if that's your desire, as famous as you possibly ever want to be on autopilot. Where are you going to be able to build your moat? Where are you going to find the land to build your castle? It's going to be from the real relationships that you're going to be able to create. And you will use AI to reinforce those relationships, all the stuff it does for you. But the real relationships that you're going to create, that's the only way forward because of AI. What are you thinking, Jules?
I mean, I'm super excited about it because I think about our coaching client agents and our podcast listener agents and brokers. And I think about their day-to-day lives and how stressful it can be because they have to be so good when they are face-to-face, person-to-person, even on a Zoom, for example. They have to bring it, okay? And it's showtime. And while they are trying to do the best job they can for their clients, because I believe that they have their heart in the right place and they're sincere about that. But if in the background, they have all this antivirus software going on in their head, oh my gosh, I got to concentrate on this appointment, but I haven't talked to my past clients in like 6 months, and I've got this crazy CMA I've got to process. And then I've got this appraisal that's going backwards. And I've got this negotiation that I didn't even know how to start negotiating with that agent I'm dealing with. And you have all this junk in your head that now you can have an AI agent at least help you with, if not do for you, depending on what the task is. Think about what a better, not just a better real estate agent or broker, but a better human you're going to be. How much more confident you're going to be because you've freed up all of that mental and emotional and spiritual space that's being bogged down and clouded by all the garbage that you have on your to-do list.
You know what this flies in the face of, though, Julie, is the
What?
Puritanical work ethic, right? So
I know, which I was entertained that your AI called you out on the
it's
other
true.
day.
I mean, so many of us are raised to think that you have to work all the time,
Or
puritanical work,
outwork your competition.
or out, right, grind, grind, grind. And the thing is the AI is going to take the grind away.
Well, and the outwork and grind has worked for a long time. But now it's starting to, now you can have somebody grind for you. How cool is that?
Well, somebody, you just said it's a person, but I hear you.
Well, I know. I
So
see.
listen, guys, the Real Estate Singularity, something we're very proud of. Please make sure you subscribe to the newsletter. If you're watching this and you get the newsletter today and it's not in the newsletter, it'll be in the newsletter tomorrow. I'm going to try to get it in there today, but if it's in there tomorrow, forgive me. But in any event, Harris Real Estate Daily is the newsletter. Make sure you subscribe. It's free. In the meantime, please, if you love today's show, which hopefully you did. Oh, by the way, Julie, I didn't tell you. If you go to iTunes and you search real estate in the world, we're number 3.
Nice. We moved up a little.
Yeah, we did. We were number
Great.
5 and now we're number
Congrats.
3. So thank you to all of you for making that possible, that this podcast is so, successful. It's wonderful. And we enjoy doing it. Hopefully it's obvious. This is not AI, by the way. Though
No.
I have to tell you guys, to be honest with you, as soon as AI gets good enough to do it at the level that we just did it, where you can't tell, guess what we're going to start doing? More beach time.
That's right. I wonder whether there will still be Sasquatches walking past your back windows there.
Oh, do you see that? No.
Maybe it'll take that out. I don't know.
Yeah, they're not real Sasquatches. We live
They're
in Puerto
not.
Rico.
They just look like it because
they're
the
shadows.
leaf blowers are out.
Yeah. All right, you guys have a fantastic day. We'll talk with you on the show tomorrow. Hello, thank you for having watched this video. Please remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel.
That's right. And don't forget to hit that like button, leave your comments and questions below, and we will get right back with you.
Thank you for watching this video. Remember to watch the next one. You're going to love that one.